Welcome everybody to Chiro Author Insights. I'm incredibly excited to have today Dr. Fred DiDomenico, an incredible colleague, amazing chiropractor. And I'm going to share some things about Fred in a moment that I want you to really understand, because the messages you're going to hear today are both from heart and experience and from incredible wisdom. Author of Back to the Health, and also You Are More Powerful Than You Can Think. Two incredible books. I have both of them and I can highly recommend them. The first one, Back to Health, is an incredible, it's just an essential book for chiropractors and their patients to understand the role that posture, spine and the nervous system has in determining your health, your quality of life, your ability to heal and repair. And then You Are More Powerful Than You Think is how you learn to own your power and move from success to fulfillment. If these books were not enough to give incredible credibility and authority to Dr. Fred, what you also need to understand is massively successful in practice. Chiropractic biophysics as the foundation for his practice. More than that, he has an elite coaching program that allows chiropractors to predictably, in a step-by-step way, create and fulfill a purpose and a mission within chiropractic. A media celebrity, a speaker, a leader, and I would also say an incredible student of human behavior that allows us to understand the nature of ourselves, our clients, and our practices to be able to achieve peak performance. You're going to get some incredible insights, and I'm super excited to have you here, Dr. Fred. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate you being here.
Hey, with that introduction, you're my new best friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, mate. Look, and I say that with complete sincerity because, I've got a signed copy of your book and I got a photo with you because I was just so pumped to meet you. I know what you've done for chiropractic. I know what you've done for chiropractors fulfilling their purpose and the impact you've had on the health of patients, not just by having written a book. That's, an expression of what you've done, but it's what you've done within practice, grown a massive practice, succeeded at levels that, most chiropractors don't even imagine. And so the message that you have is about possibility and about potential, and I'm honoured to have spent time with you in the past and to share this call. So I think people really need to understand the value that you bring, and I just wanted to share that message. So again, thank you, Fred. I know you're humble, but you deserve the accolade.
Well, I appreciate that.
So look, the first thing I want to do is you've got two books there that I do want to talk about, because I want chiropractors to understand that, one, you can write for your patient base, your community, and you can also pivot your practice to be able to serve in different ways. So this call is going to go a slightly different direction. We're going to go organically with this, but if we can maybe break down both of those books in different times. So you've written Back to Health, which is, again, the ones for your patients and for the community, and you've also written You're More Powerful Than You Think for the chiropractor, leading to their success and fulfillment and fulfilling their purpose. Can we start first with Back to Health? What brought you to write that? Why did you write that? Tell me a little bit about the story of the book that came out.
Well, I think you know this, when you write a book, it is your story. It's not a book, it's you. And so Back to Health and You're More Powerful Than You Think are really me. It's our higher self coming through. And so, when I went to LACC in California, and there wasn't chiropractic principle, but I figured out pretty quickly they weren't going to teach me how to be a chiropractor. And probably because, being Italian, born in South Philly, the probability that you're not going to listen to people is actually pretty high. So anyway, but when I found the principle of chiropractic, I believed it, where and I started technique and Gonstead and AK, whatever. But I remember Clarence Gonstead said, never question the principle, only its application. And I believed in the principle that a subluxation is a subluxation, and it shuts down energy, blocks energy in the nervous system, obviously, causes disease. And if you're a chiropractor, then we should be able to take an x-ray, look at a subluxated spine, and we should be the ones. No one walking on the face of the planet should know spinal biomechanics better than we do. And I thought, as a school, when I get out, if I got to be in court, there's no MD, there's no orthopedist, there's no neurologist, there will be no one that could stand up against me, that we would put them to shame on biomechanics, and we'd get the jury and the judge and whoever's in there as patients and the opposing attorney by how we can communicate a message that would inspire the hearts and minds of people. And that was it. I mean, we're chiropractors. We have a responsibility, fix subluxations. The truth is the truth. Don't question the principle. Then it became, okay, now how am I going to fix them? Right. So I had to learn that. That's what got me to spinal correction and CBP. And then, CBP, you become an expert at biomechanics. I mean, you understand, you become an expert. There's nobody that will know more. And depending on the level that you go. And so, I believed in the principle. I started fixing spines, and you see the truth. Alf Bragg years ago put tension on the cord, put you in a sympathetic override, it shuts the energy down, which is now being all proved by science. Now we have all the people doing all the brain stuff, and let's just keep this simple. And I learned from Jim Sigafus, simplicity is the key. And so you either have a normal structure or you don't. If you don't, there's tension on the cords, breaking the biomechanics will break your spine down. I mean, one thing I used to tell people to keep it simple in an ROF is because our spine, we're upright. Like if somebody had an objection, well, I don't know, how will this work? Then I would go, you know what? If you walked on 4 legs like a dog, you wouldn't need a chiropractor. But if you want to walk on 2 legs on this planet and you want to have a healthy body, then you're going to need a healthy spine and I would tell them, or you're going to get sick. So right now, Mrs. Jones, as you're standing there trying to decide what you like and what you don't like, your body's breaking down. You're getting sick every second you stand there. So what do you want to do now? That's what I say. All you got to do is get up and walk through your day and your body's breaking down. It's like something so simple, because when you understand, it's physics and math. And so after 4 coaching groups of people, Mrs. Jones, how does your back pain affect your life? It's like you're associating with pain. And then I'm like, so I got to 500 a week, but I had to get, because I had a lower PVA, because 4 coaches told me pain-based symptoms. You had a 40 PVA, meaning the average patient would stay for 40 visits. And then after 11 years, I noticed every 3 months, I got to build my practice again. So I couldn't take a vacation. I became a prisoner to my own purpose because of what traditional chiropractic coaching gave me. And one day, Tony Robbins says, the power of your life is determined by the power of the questions you ask yourself. One day, that person quit and I was done. I said, that's it. I can't find the answer in chiropractic. And I had 2 questions. One was, why does one person quit? Why does one person come in, bring their kids, make it a lifestyle, and another person walks out? Or does symptom care? And I couldn't find the answer. So I started studying human behavior. I started studying NLP and life coaching, and I started reading studies, Cialdini. I mean, the amount of resources that I researched and developed a patient management system that determined, I learned how people made life-changing decisions. And when I started incorporating that into a patient management communication system, we went from 120 a day to 220 a day, added 100 people a day in 5 months with 0 marketing. I didn't spend 1 second in marketing, not 1 penny, not 1 second. I just learned how to communicate and learned how to inspire people. And, that's how Tony Robbins gets people, how do you get 15,000 people across 2,000-degree colds? That's a system. And so then I'm like, there comes a day like with you, we were talking before we did this, right? Your purpose is chiropractic, not as much chiropractor. You're a chiropractor with a purpose of chiropractic, right?
Absolutely.
So after all these years, how Tony Robbins gets them across fire is a system. So now it's been 23 years studying human behavior, and more than ever, especially in our technology-based society, this is the first generation that isn't expected to outlive their parents. And it's because of the life we're living. I mean, GMO food, yeah. But it's all the, here's the thing, man. Everybody's, well, what about weight loss? What about this? What about this? I get it. It's all important. But they got to get one thing first. You can be skinny as a rail and have a cervical kyphosis. So I ended up taking a bunch of research that Dan Murphy did, and I wrote this book, Back to Health. It's all medical studies. This is not a research-oriented book. now after I wrote this 2 years ago, so after 21 years of studying how people make life-changing decisions, I wrote this. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, my screen just went blank. So anyway, I wrote this book with communicating and delivering this message in a way that not only people can understand, but in a way that can change their perspective and help them see chiropractic as a not lifetime, but as a lifestyle. And so that's a different mindset. Lifetime is a condition. So for instance, you got people, I've been to chiropractor my whole life. Yep, when my back hurts, yep, I go to a chiropractor. Versus lifestyle is a mindset, meaning I have a lifestyle of working out. Well, gym's closed, but I still work out 6 days a week. I change what I do, but I never stopped my lifestyle. And that's the difference between lifetime and lifestyle. Lifestyle is a mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say, having read the book, it lends itself to people having that belief change, simply because, one, it's not a 300-page book. Let's comment first on that. It's a smaller book, more readable in the language of the person, but it's at the same time, it's backed by all the science, all the research, and the comments that are within there, the claims that are there, the effect of the spinal changes on the nervous system, its influence on health. It's a powerful, profound message that is both compelling and argumentatively supported. So the reader has to make a conclusion at the end of that their spinal hygiene, their spinal health, the need for a chiropractor is unquestioned. And so it's just an incredible book with an incredible message. And again, it's bite-sized, it's digestible for the reader.
Well, and it's easy to read on purpose. And, you know, the elite clients and the people that have bought this book, they give it to every new patient. And here's what the experience has been. You get a husband in, or you get a wife in, and how many times, well, my husband doesn't like chiropractic, blah, 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 all the excuses. You give them this book at your new patient workshop, or you give it to them on day one, and you say, take this home, read it with your husband. This is going to give you a foundation of knowledge. It's going to show you how to live your life a better way. You know what I mean? And read it with your husband, and I'm going to ask you questions on it in 4 days or whatever. Well, what happens in 4 days is the husband shows up with a check, and they already want lifestyle. They don't come up, doc, I have back pain. No, they come up and go, I need to get my spine fixed, and we want to bring in our family. This is the way we should live. Like, they come in for $10 when you buy them in bulk. This is better than a workshop. I mean, a workshop, you need to teach a workshop. So there's no question. This reinforces anything that you teach in a way, because many people try to teach workshops by giving information. That's why I say it's better than a workshop, because people don't change their life based on information alone. Otherwise, chiropractic would dominate the healthcare system, right? 125 years, we're in single digits. So this is written in a way that works with people's brains and how they make decisions. So they come in, done, I'm done, what do I do? How do I sign up? They literally come in with checks.
That's great. And I just want to ask a quick comment in relation to that. So what's your perspective on a writing book? You've read the book, you give that to the client. How does having a book leverage your authority or position you as an expert and alter the mind of the reader? Like, what's the mechanism that takes place there? Because it does offer you that significant positioning in the mind of the reader that leverages, you know, expertise. So can you talk about, one, the impact that it's had in your practice, and two, the psychology behind that?
Well, I don't practice anymore. I just coach. There is no question that a book gives you credibility. There's no question. Probably because I personally don't view it that way, only because I don't really care, which is probably why I haven't done more marketing on it. But I don't use it as credibility. My sole purpose, SOUL, and the reason I'm a divinity incarnated in a human body, you know, that's the principles here, walking in the physical plane, is to change the perception of people about themselves, how they want to live. They have a sole purpose. and we are spirit, mind, body, and you need to take care of your friggin' spine. So I look at it like there needs to be 100 million of these going around, and I didn't create it for credibility. I could care less what name's on the bottom, but this tool can change the lives of humanity. The question is, can you listening use this, give it to 1,000 people, and you'll have more lifetime patients you imagine. And that is the purpose. I don't care if my name's on the bottom. I mean, it is that I'm an author, so I don't use it for credibility. However, to answer your question, does it give you credibility? No question. There's no question. I mean, that's one of the reasons people buy books is you may or may not get rich off. You have to sell millions of copies, because you really don't make that much from a book. However, the bottom line, it is a vehicle that can put you on stage. It is a tool that you can influence people. And so that's how I look at it, like an influential tool.
It's a powerful tool of influence. And you've had a lot of media exposure. You've been on NBC, ABC, Fox, other morning shows and a whole range of things, and you've got to share your message. So in that way, the book represents one, as you said, a download of the divine to you so that you can express your message and impact the health and lives of your patients and the community. Additionally, though, it allows a broader expansion of the message to reach further people, because if you have something of this significance, a powerful, compelling story in a book form, there is something that allows people to share your message, because you can't go into as easily onto one of these Good Morning America shows and things like that without that level of credibility or authority. Not that you need it, not that you necessarily want it, but by having it, it gives you greater exposure, greater opportunity than you would otherwise have without it. Would that be fair to say?
Well, that's more than fair. That is absolutely 100% correct.
So if you want to expand your message to the furthest reaches, there's more work that you've got to do than sit in your practice. You've got to get the genius out of your head onto the page. You've got to be willing to go on stages and platforms, and the book helps that. And then you get the opportunity to share your message, expand the reach of that message, and have a greater impact. And that's what you've done. And I know you've done that firstly with your book and your practice because of how big it was. But your second book allowed you to do that at an even expansive level, because you might be able to adjust 1,000, 2,000 a week, whatever the numbers are. It might be 200 for other chiropractors, it might be 60. The numbers don't matter. What matters is you're serving, but to be able to then coach and train chiropractors to grow their practice, expand their message and serve in a bigger way. You move from seeing whatever your numbers are, times that by 10, 100, 1,000, because you're coaching practitioners. So that's what you're able to do when you pivoted. And this is a really important thing for a book. You can have a book for your patient base, but if you want to pivot your practice, if you want to go into education, if you want to go into coaching, you have the opportunity of altering the dynamic in which you operate. And you did that with You're More Powerful Than You Think. Can you tell me about that story? Because I know that has a really significant self-writing story. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, that's definitely an intense story. Before I say that, everybody in practice, I would write a book. If you're in practice, I would write a book. And I would write a book for patients that is so compelling that they want to be a leader, that they feel that is their sword, so to speak. That's their megaphone. When they go out in the community, that they have something that's tangible, that is so influential that once they hand it to somebody, the probability that person's going to want to come and see you. Not because it's a book, because you've written it in a way that helps people change their mind and inspires them to want to be their best, whatever that is. So You're More Powerful came out, and this is what I'm sure every chiropractor experiences. It's when I was practicing, people would say, God, you're so lucky, your purpose in life, you're always happy, and this is what most chiropractors hear, right? And then so I figured, wow, I really noticed people don't know what their soul and life purpose is. So when I practiced, I thought, well, if you don't have one, then have mine. So now I would create messengers, and that's one thing we teach about cultures is every person in your culture, your patient, we don't create patients, we create leaders. And part of their responsibility is to contribute the message chiropractic out in the community and bring people in. If they don't bring people in, then I didn't have confidence that they were committed to the lifestyle, that they weren't inspired by the lifestyle. So that's just how I train my people. And then once I started coaching, I had a wife, I was married at the time, and she had a cervical kyphosis that she refused to fix. So she ended up getting cancer. And about 2 or 3 weeks before she died, she was in the bathtub. And we were actually talking about the process of after she passed and what we would do. So it was a rather intense conversation. And then she started bawling, sobbing, not just tearing. She was sobbing. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I don't know if I did what I was supposed to do in this life." And that, I can't explain the feeling that I had at that moment. I mean, thinking about it now, I get all choked up because, and not only did I feel this sadness for her, the contrast was the gratitude that I felt that I was living my purpose. And I said in a loud voice in my mind, I said, "No one in my life will ever say that again." So I started on this spiritual journey. And 5 years later, I started writing this book, You're More Powerful Than You Think. It introduces a 6-step system. It's called HEALed, which is ironic because every day I practice, every time I finish adjusting someone, I put my hand on them and I tell them, "You're healed." And so then this HEALed system came through me, and it's a 6-step system. Find God within yourself. I believe we're all divinity walking in humanity. And our challenge may be that we never discover our divinity. We never tap into that divine guidance, what chiropractic calls universal intelligence, into innate intelligence. And we live as innate intelligence. We don't live as a human being. We walk on this plane, physical plane, as innate intelligence, connected to universal intelligence in a physical body, incarnated in a physical body. And we use this physical body to interact on the physical plane. Yet we have the consciousness of innate and universal intelligence. And it teaches you how to get past your humanity, how to love like God loves, how to forgive, how to get in presence, and how to hear those whispers of divine guidance so you can discover, live, and fulfill your SOUL, your soul purpose, the reason why you're here in this life. And this is actually for the general public. We're actually launching the coaching system at the end of this month. Go to You Are More Powerful Than You Think Facebook page. Get invited into the group because we're going to go through a 4-day live training. I'm going to take you through this HEALed system. And if you're listening to this afterward, just go to that page and like it and keep up with this stuff. So in elite coaching, this is really the foundation. I mean, I teach human behavior, we teach chiropractic systems. But I found when I started coaching, people are only as successful in their soul purpose as they are in the belief of themselves. And so once I started bringing spirituality and I started bringing these principles into this, then people's practice grew automatically. They didn't have to try. They could implement the systems, because the reason you get stuck and you're not reaching your vision is your mindset, your consciousness, and your systems don't match your vision. But when your mindset and your consciousness and your systems match your vision, you bring it in automatically because you're an innate being. You just have to match your vision and your consciousness with the level of your vision. And then you use this body for systems to bring it into physical form, and it manifests right in front of you. I mean, it may take a little time, but sometimes it doesn't.
That's fantastic. Firstly, let me just say I'm going to put the links to the books, to the events, to make sure that people can access to those. So they'll be on the page with this. I want to come back to something I think that's really important to understand, because you're talking about your soul, SOUL purpose, and everyone will have an idea in their head. Well, maybe I'm not a good writer or a good speaker. I can't present, or I would never be able to write a book like that. So we have some level of, again, we rise to the level of our self-belief. And can you share a little bit about your writing process? Because people might think, well, I can't write, but everyone has a writing process, and the story came through, not just from you, but through you. So everybody's got a story inside, I believe. And as you said earlier, every chiropractor is writing a book and sharing the mission, we're going to have a massive scope and influence throughout the world. So can you share with the writing process, that how do you download that purpose, that passion, that wisdom, and express your soul through your writing?
Well, there's a couple different vehicles on that. You know, there's people that say, hey, you know, I'm not that great a writer, but I know what I want to write about. Well, you can hire companies to, you just dictate the narrative and they write it, they do all the grammar, they do all that stuff. You know, for me to write this was more work, because I knew the healed 6-step system was basically divinely downloaded. I mean, it was like, you know, it came to me, it fell in my lap. So when the time is ready, your soul purpose is going to fall in your lap and you can't avoid it. You know, the more you avoid it, the more pain you're going to go through, right? It's that thing you know you should do that's just in here, but your mind is getting in the way. And all I did, the first step of anything you've never done before is one of the easiest, can be most difficult steps. And that is, you just got to say yes. You got to say, yes, I'm doing it no matter what I have to go through. And I have no idea how I'm going to do it. And I have no idea what I'm going to go through, but I know I'm supposed to do it. And then, you know, like in the famous words of Bono from U2, you know, if you want to touch sky, you better get on your knees. And that was it, man. I just got on my knees. I had to surrender the process. And before I started writing, I would pray. I would ask God to send me the resources that I needed. But with every chapter of those 6 steps, you know, I would say, I have no idea what I'm going to write. And then I would have to put myself, like Tony Robbins says, you get in the right state, you find the right strategy. I would do things that would put me into higher consciousness states. And I would pray. And then next thing you know, man, I mean, there were times where I was writing, I would write frantically for a half hour, and then I would look back and I would read what I wrote. I'm like, I didn't know that 31 minutes ago. Now, I'm not saying that every book is written like that, but the first belief is you are innate intelligence. Universal intelligence is inside you. You can tap into it. And I also did research. I mean, I read books, I used references, I contemplated, I would find things that I wanted to talk about. I would use, because I was on a spiritual path. You know, I mean, I read Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Conversation with God, Neil Donald Walsh. And so I would go back to these things that changed my life, and I would use them as reference points. And I would see what they would say, and I would pray, and I would meditate, and I would use my own life experience.
Yes, that's
And
beautiful.
then, you know, so your life experience, only you can write. It's your story. It doesn't matter what anybody else said. They don't have your perspectives and your life experience. They can't say it the way you can say it. The rest are thoughts of your own insecurity and your ability to love yourself. So you are more powerful than you think, because that will get you past that. And that's really it, to realize that I'm here for a purpose. The topic you may want to write about could be written by 200,000 other people, but they are incapable of writing it how you are going to write it. And because you're going to write it that way, there's probably millions of people that are ready to hear your message. Or you would not be in a physical body sitting there at your laptop wondering what the hell I should write.
Look, for the listeners, go back and just listen to that whole thing. I got 3 like mic drop moments just listening to that. And again, I've written books and I understand this process, and I love the writing and the storytelling and the expression, but Fred's just completely highlighted some of the key and pivotal points. I mean, you have to take action. It is time, and you need to listen to that. You need to allow it to come through, and it doesn't matter who you are. You've got a story, you've got a message, and your message is unique and individual to you. And if you let it flow through you, instead of thinking you have to cultivate it, yes, you can refine it with research, you can bring other elements into it, but the words are already there within you. Tap into it, express it. You can become a best-selling author. You can express your message. You can grow your practice. You can change the health and lives of your patients and the community. It starts with that, but it extends way beyond that. So I was just listening to you. I'm gonna go back and listen to this again, because that was, again, I knew we'd get pearls of wisdom, nuggets of understanding, and you always add value, Fred. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. You know, I'd like to add one more thing, and that is, don't write to be perfect. You know, the first time I wrote this book, I was halfway through, and it was 285 pages, and I'm only halfway through. I can't write a 450-page book. So the bottom line is, I had to rewrite it 9 times, and I had 2 ghostwriters. But the important thing is, what I did at first was just write. I just wrote and let stuff spill out on the page. And then you edit it, and then you chop it down, and then you become more concise, and then you have other people read it. My first ghostwriter was a college graduate student working on her master's, and I paid her a little bit just to go through and write it and change grammar. And the last ghostwriter was a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, and they didn't change the content, but I definitely had to change some grammar. You know what I mean? So the thing is don't worry about it, man. You just need to pour your heart out on the page. It's not the final copy. By the time that thing has a title and a cover and a publisher or whatever you want to do, you're going to rewrite that thing possibly several times. So don't worry about it. Say yes, start writing. That's it.
Say yes, start writing. That's it. That's the best, really, ending to, you know, I'd love this conversation going for hours, because I just love spending time with you, listening to you, Fred. So, but I think that's a great place to end. But if I can really comment again, your books have been profound. Access those books. The links will be down there. The Elite Coaching Program. Just give us a bit of an insight into, you know, what people could expect within that program, so that they know, you know, when they reach out to you, what type of growth, what type of experience, and what type of breakthroughs can they anticipate?
Well, first of all, the purpose of Elite isn't to help you build a practice. It's to help you build yourself and leadership, and you become a totally convicted, purpose-driven, confident leader that knows why you're here, who you are, and that's it. When you become so clear on who you are, the systems are easy. And what's different about the systems is we have a very different model and premise compared to most all coaching groups. And the difference is, a person comes in with back pain, you want to change the way they live their life. You want to change their mindset. So you have a metaphorical and sometimes literal 5 minutes to change their mind. So the problem is, what you're really doing is you're a self-empowerment coach. And chiropractic is a healthcare application. But you haven't studied how to change people's behavior. You haven't studied how to take a team member and turn them into a leader. You haven't studied that every team member, even though that may be the front desk person, that may not be their ultimate soul purpose or life purpose, but while they're at your front desk picking up the phone, it is. So how do you have every team member, every patient believe that the step that your interaction with them will change the way they view themselves, how they want to live for the rest of their lives? And that's it. And then I teach you how to build a culture. And what happens is, we've had many, you know, we do that through boot camps and one-on-one calls. And I've coached a number of people in Australia, and we do what we're doing now. We get on Zoom or we get on Skype. And so there's no difference. I mean, it's almost better to coach on video than it is on the phone with somebody, you know, in New York when I'm in California. There's no difference. The hour is a little different. So, but the bottom line is, if you're going to fulfill your purpose in chiropractic, you have to be your best. And anything less means you'll be successful, but you won't be fulfilled. So what I'm committed to do is help bring what God created in you, why you're here, bring that out so you can illuminate the consciousness of as many people as possible, and have systems to create 8 or 9 out of 10 of every patient that walks in your office into a lifestyle mindset, and all the systems and mindset to do that.
And, you know, You really are more powerful than you think, than you imagine, than you believe, and access that so that you can fulfill your purpose. Dr. Fred DiDomenico, you are a great servant of chiropractic, a leader within the chiropractic profession, and I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your service to chiropractic. Thank you for all that you have done and will continue to do.
Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you. And, you know, you're such a great leader. And the more I get to know you, the more impressed I am with all the things that you're doing. Your purpose and conviction is truly admirable. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, you heard it. Write your book and get in touch with Fred and make sure you can fulfill your purpose. Take care, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode.
Peace.